Hey all, this is From Tears to Theosis Reflections. My name is Emily. In this series, I read my own writings on loss, grief, and the slow journey from tears toward hope and union with God, what the early church called theosis. Today's reflection is titled When Everything Stopped. If you're here, maybe you're carrying something heavy too. Whether you're new or returning, I hope that these words feel like quiet company along the way. It was my husband's birthday. Fall breeze was just starting to drift in. The leaves were turning, and our house had hummed with the familiar chaos of a year that had already held so much. Then the phone rang, and everything stopped. Miss Emily, he's gone. The kindest nurse delivered the news, and I didn't hold back. I cursed the sky for taking my dad before I could get there, before I could say goodbye. And in that moment, the world narrowed to a single shattering point. I'd already lost my mother several years earlier, suddenly and without warning. Back then, I didn't have the space, the words, or the strength to truly sit with grief. I couldn't let it transform me or draw me closer to the ultimate sacrifice and love of Christ, even though I knew that had been my mother's deepest wish for me. She understood what I didn't yet. That grief, like all suffering willingly borne, could become something more than pain. Her death was earth shattering, but I learned to cope instead of heal. And I just kept moving. Losing my father was different. When my mother's death broke me open, my father's gave me slowly and painfully the courage to rebuild. The timing still leaves me breathless. Their deaths fell exactly 1 month apart, both on the third day, within 15 minutes of the same hour. My father passed at 1:40 p.m. My mother passed at 1:55 p.m. The synchronicity feels like a language I'm only beginning to learn how to read, a pattern woven through all of it. My mother's longing for the friend and confidant that she found in me. My father having a second daughter late in life, one that he had not planned for, who would eventually be able to care for him at the end. And ultimately, two people who should have never created me, but did. It is as if God was writing something into the fabric of our lives that I'm only now able to see, that we live on in the hearts of those who loved us, that we matter most to those who knew us, and that our stories become the inheritance of those who come after. My parents were a remarkable, complicated pair. My mother was born in 1956 to a Catholic family in Texas with deep Louisiana roots. She broke away from the formal church, forged her own fierce relationship with Jesus, and lived, though imperfectly and humanly, with him as her Lord and Savior until her end. It's funny, as she was passing, my daughter and I laughed with her siblings about something that my mom had confessed to me as a teenager. Her dream man needed to have long hair, good teeth, or really any teeth, as she specified, and a nice butt. So in Jesus, she finally met him, and with him, the man she'd been looking for and the peace and love that she had spent a lifetime searching for. My daddy was born in 1945, just as World War II ended. His own father had drowned in the Sabine River between Texas and Louisiana shortly after, trying to retrieve a boat motor because he was a diver. My daddy was raised by his mother, his older sisters, and his beloved granddaddy Bryant. At 16, he joined the Navy, he served his country, and then he came home to Texas. He ultimately worked for over 40 years, raising my sister, who later tragically died of cancer as a young adult, and eventually retired. We were estranged for most of my adult life, but in his final year, I was able to become his caregiver. And looking back, I really firmly believe that was exactly God's plan. They were old by today's standards. My dad was nearly 50 when I arrived, and my mom was just shy of 40. I was an accident that neither expected nor initially wanted. And because of their age, I was raised in a world that almost feels mystical now. On a Texas homestead that bridged generations. I grew up somewhere between my mother in law's childhood and my husband's, shaped by people that were the same age as his grandparents. I really hated it at the time, as most kids do, but I've come to see it as a gift. I unknowingly skipped an extra layer of intergenerational trauma, and what I had was simple, but it was rooted and it was real. So after my mother passed, I coped. And after my father, I just couldn't. I'm sure you understand the feeling. Life paused, plans dissolved, my energy vanished, and the future felt impossible. I couldn't think clearly about anything, not even what I needed to do in order to have my father rest peacefully. And for a few days, I was able to function on autopilot. I took the time that I was allowed to away from work, but it was quickly evident that 2 weeks was not enough time to process 3 years of grief, pain, and despair hitting me at once. I just simply could not return to this incredibly stressful career that I had built while simultaneously giving myself the time that I needed to mourn, heal, and really find my true calling. So, with that, I quit my job. My body was telling me what my spirit already knew. This path was not mine to walk anymore. I needed to be home with my children. I needed to support my husband. And I needed to follow where God was leading, even when I couldn't yet see the destination clearly. I have radically taken my life back in a way that is unprecedented for me. Through grief, I've honed in on what God is calling me to do. I found peace in prayer. And now that I'm at the point of no looking back, I lean heavily into my faith and ensuring that I'm following God's words and teachings. Death and grief have radically altered who I am and have led me into a calling that I believe is from God. I'm going to lean into it, own it, and make it into something meaningful. This blog and podcast is just the beginning, a place where I will document the intersection of grief and faith, how they intermingle. And if you're grieving too, whether you're a person of faith or just searching, you're welcome here and you're not alone. Thank you. Thank you for listening today. The written version of this reflection is available in the show notes. And in the Orthodox tradition, we say, Lord, have mercy, not as a plea born from fear, but as a breath returning. May that mercy meet you in your sorrow, and may you know that you are held. Until next time, take gentle care, and may God grant you peace.